Yeah. So you don't have a plan for business continuity and disaster recovery. That is a danger. So as an engineer, as an architect, as a solutions architect, as a cloud professional, as an IT professional, any environment you find yourself, the first question you want to ask is, what is the backup policy? Are all these services backed up somewhere? Just ask. It may sound foolish, but they will know that you know what you are saying, right? So you can even use this as a conversation starter. So you have this app running, handling 100 million traffics every hour, 100 million requests every hour. What is the backup plan? What is the backup policy? So they should be able to tell you. Otherwise, may our efforts not be in futility. So we're going to look at how we can implement backups, all these virtual machines, servers. So how do we implement backups? How databases? Okay. Let's see if we can complete this in VM backups. Okay. So different backups strategies are in place. You can create snapshots for your virtual machines, snapshots of the virtual hard disk. You can back up our virtual machines. We can implement regional backup. So we can use site recovery to back up virtual machines, servers across regions. So the only difference between ASR and snapshots and Azure Backup is that the ASR gives us the regional backup functionality. Okay, so regional backup. Okay, that is different. So if you are asked, okay, how do I implement a regional backup of my servers, of my databases? Use Azure Site Recovery. Azure Backup can back up running VMs within the same geographic location. Then there is the snapshots, which you get as soon as you initiate a backup. So you can quickly use your snapshots to restore a server from a known state, right? So that's for snapshots. Especially when we are carrying out some testings. Okay. So if we are in a test environment, we can use snapshots to quickly restore virtual machines. Okay. Because the snapshot is also a backup form of the server. So we can use that to restore from a known point. We also have images, disk images. Okay. In some environments, you have golden image that is installed across devices. So it's a golden image. It's going to be running on hundreds of devices. That is how they're going to be managing, and that is how they are going to be remaining compliant in that environment. So it has its custom services for that environment. So the difference between images and snapshots. The snapshot is a copy of the disk. Take an image of it and create a VM from either the snapshot or the image. A snapshot does not have awareness of any disk except the one it contains. So always ask this question. What is the backup plan? Anywhere, even if it's in an interview. What is your backup plan? How do you mean? Yeah, you have all these services, you have all these applications. Do you have a backup plan? So never be shy to ask these questions. It's very important. What is the point spending days, sleepless nights to build application, to run pipelines without a backup plan? So how do we create snapshots? Once we initiate a backup, the first step is to take a snapshot. So you're going to get a snapshot from your backup, and the backups will continue to run until it is available. The snapshot will be moved to the vault, to the recovery services vault. Okay. VM takes a snapshot. So this virtual machine, we are taking a snapshot. This is the snapshot of the VM. The snapshot will be sent to the recovery services vault. We're going to do that shortly. Let me share this in the chat. So in the recovery services vault, this is where we can select what we want to back up. So in the recovery services vault, we can back up virtual machines, file shares, SQL servers in Azure. You are not limited to the cloud environment. So these are resources in Azure. We can also back up on-premises infrastructure, Exchange server, SharePoint server, SQL server, virtual machines, Hyper-VM, bare metal. Okay. All these resources can be backed up on premises. So just need to install a backup agent. Okay. So these are the steps. Please make sure you know the steps. Make sure you understand the steps. You're going to create a recovery services vault. Okay. Then set our backup policy. Then go ahead, install. So you need a backup agent. If you're asked in a question, so I need to install virtual machines. How do I need an agent to install a virtual machine successfully? Yes, we will need to install the Azure Virtual Machine agent must be installed on the Azure Virtual Machine for the backup extension. So if you migrate virtual machines from Azure, from the on-premises, we need to also install agent. Just know that you need a backup agent. When we are implementing backups, you need an agent that will be installed on the affected devices. If we can initiate a backup, we can also implement a restore of our virtual machines. So we can restore from a known point. Maybe you want to restore from 3/11/2020 or 3/12/2020. So you can actually determine a known point to restore from. All right, let's go into the portal. Let's create a backup. See how it works. Why this thing is staying here. Yeah. So recovery, Azure Backup, Backup Center. You can build a career on this. You can be a backup specialist. Okay, so don't think it's not important. If you have servers, you must have a backup plan. You must have backup policy. And Azure has make a lot of things very convenient, very easy to do. So in some environments, you don't have all these features where you can just click around and implement your backup. While we are doing that, let's check the resource manager template. Let's see if we can run some deployments. Azure Resource Manager. Okay. Create a backup vault. Create a backup for workloads. This. Resource group. Tech support. HTOS. What's the resource group for our virtual machines? Ooh, no virtual machine. So let's create virtual machine first. Okay. So everybody, is everybody on their portal? I want us to do this together. Please. I'm going to post it in the Telegram. Let's do this together. Can you come off mute? Are you sleeping? Are you there?
I can hear you, sir.
Please launch your portal. Let's do this together. I'm putting it in the Telegram. We want to create backup for virtual machines. So we need to create the virtual machines. So instead of clicking around, I want us to use the resource manager template files to implement this deployment. Dami, are you there?
Okay, I'm in my portal now.
Yes. So go into the Telegram channel. You have the links. Just use these links to create your virtual machines.
I'm here, but I can't work right now.
Oh, okay. No worries.
Okay,
Sure.
do you want me to go through from the link you shared on the Telegram?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Let me. I know I log in separately. Let me do that. Are we supposed to use the same region like your own, or we should just?
No, use anything.
Okay. Oh. I usually use East US. I think there is no backup here for me. Backup service there.
Do you have any VM? Do you have
Okay,
any
yeah.
VM running?
No.
You must have a VM running.
Yeah, let me quickly spin up a VM.
So those links are to create virtual machines. I want us to create 3 virtual machines. Great. Right, backup, resource group. Redundancy. Let's make this. Is everybody here?
I'm here, sir.
Only you?
I'm also here.
Backup center. Okay, so this is the common point for managing backups. The backup center, recently upgraded. Okay, so this is the central location where we implement our backups. So what do I want to back up? So if anybody asks you, what resources can we back up in Azure? This is a list of all the resources. Virtual machines in Azure, SQL, virtual machines, Azure Disk, Azure Files, Azure Blobs, all these resources can be backed up in Azure. So we need to create a recovery services vault. We don't have any. So let's go ahead and create a recovery services vault. We are creating recovery services vault. See how that goes. Okay. Are we here? Is everyone creating their recovery services vault? Can't hear you. We can initiate backup from here, or let's go back to our backup center. Fresh. Okay, backup. We want to back up virtual machines, Azure virtual machines. Okay, select Vault. Okay, so the recovery services vault we created is now here. And it has to be within the same location. The same location where we have the VMs. So if the VMs are not in East US, we'll have to create a recovery services vault in East US. This is our vault. Continue. So this is where we set up our policies. Do you want to use standard policy or enhanced policy? Of course, if you go for the enhanced, it comes with an additional price. Okay. You can always customize your own policy, create your own policy. What is in the policy? Backup schedule. Give it a name. How often do you want to back up? How long do you want to retain your daily backup? Okay, so these are the information you send into the policies. So I'm going to use the default policy, the standard policy. So what is the difference? You have to note this. What's the difference between the standard policy and the enhanced policy? So you don't get zone redundancy with standard. Okay, there's no support for trusted Azure VMs, but with enhanced policy, you get support. Okay, you get support for your VMs. You get zone redundancy for the snapshots. I'm going to use the standard. And then another difference is that there's 1 to 5 days operational tier. We compare that with 1 to 30 days of operational tier with the enhanced backup policy. We're using subscription type. So we're using the default policy. So it's going to be backing up daily at 11 a.m. UTC. It's going to initiate full backup. It's going to retain instant recovery snapshots for 2 days. It's going to retain daily backup points. Okay, it's going to retain daily backups for 30 days. Very important. Remember, snapshots, you can get it as soon as you initiate backups. Your snapshots will be retained for 2 days. Okay, your backups will be retained for 30 days. So let's add virtual machines. Remember, we said we want to back up virtual machines. So let's add our virtual machines. The virtual machines must be in the same region with the recovery services vaults. So this is the resource group. All these virtual machines were created within the same region. In fact, it's already posted here. Virtual machines must be in the same region as the vault. Okay. So if you don't have a vault created for East US 2, we have to go and create a recovery services vault in East US 2 region. That's just it. So we want to back up all the virtual machines. Is it just the disk you want to back up or everything? You can check that box. Okay, back up. So we are backing up and Yeah. Implementing a backup. Okay, so it might take a while. So while this is going on, let's go back into our lesson. That's just a method. So another way of backing up our virtual machines is using the data protection manager or MAP server. The MAP server is a Microsoft Azure Backup server. Okay. So some benefits of using MAP server. SQL servers, Exchange server, SharePoint. You can use MAP server to back them up. You can use the backup on-premises machines without installing an agent on the machines. You know, the other ones, we have to install an agent. But in this case, if you are using MAPS or DPM, we don't need to install the Mars agent. And if you want to well, you don't need to memorize this. If you practice these steps like 5 times, you will get used to it. If you want to implement a MAPS backup, you can use that. You can follow the steps to implement the backup. So let's look at the different backup options. We have the Mars agent, the MAPS server. So one major difference is that with the Mars agent, your backups are in the recovery services vault. With MAPS, you can either have your backup in the cloud or locally in the data center. And with Mars, you are limited to what you can back up. You can only back up files and folders. But for the Azure Backup Server, backup volumes, virtual machines, applications. So that is why it said it is very good, very useful for application-aware servers. Because we can also back up applications, we can back up workloads. Okay. So that's what makes MAP server is not necessarily better. It's just an edge it has over Mars backup. It's very important that we also back up our backups, manage our backups such that in the event of an accidental deletion, okay, we'll have copies or we'll be able to protect our backups from accidental deletion. So that means that we can set 14 days to recover already deleted backups, but we must have set up these settings. If you don't have the soft delete settings in place, you will never be able to recover any deleted backup. So you must have the soft delete settings in place. It's not default. Okay, so if you choose to delete backup data and then stop backup, the virtual machine won't be permanently deleted. Rather, the backup data will be retained for 14 days in a soft deleted state. Let's see if these guys have been completed. All right, deployment completed. Backup items. So you can see backup items. So all the VMs. So everybody that did this, were you able to see your virtual machines that you backed up? Everybody, are we saying the same thing?
I think I get lost.
Lost it.
Yeah, I couldn't follow with the pace you are moving.
We have called him now.
Yeah, I don't want to distract you on that. So since the video is there, it's a thing we can fall back at. For me.
Okay. Anybody else? Was any other people able to get to this point? If you are able to successfully back up your VMs, you should have them under your management type. And you see the number of servers you backed up. In my own case, we installed 3 servers and they all passed backup pre-check. Okay. So we have integrated our virtual machines in the backup center. Let's see backup. So we can back up in Azure, we can back up on-premises servers. They are not limited to Azure servers. If we go on-premises, this is a list of everything we can back up on-premises. Okay. Files, folders, Hyper-V, SharePoint, SQL servers. So this is the maps. This is maps. So if we have virtual machine, usually the way we test this, we're going to create virtual machine in another and remote into the virtual machine, install the agent. So that second virtual machine will serve as on premises. Then we'll try to implement the backup. So let's see, what do you want to back up? SQL Server. Prepare infrastructure. We need to download the MABS backup agent. Once it's downloaded, it will be installed on the servers. Let's see. So this is a very interesting design. So why do we use Azure Backup to offload on-premises backup? Backup infrastructure as service virtual machines. The backup to be able to scale easily. So this is a very good material. We share this. So those are the reasons, in addition to everything I've told us so far. Okay. So the bottom line is that it's very important to have backup plan in place. If you have servers, you must have a backup policy, you must have a backup plan, and you must ensure that your policies are running, that your backups are up to date. So if you ever need to restore to a known state to a point, you will be able to restore your virtual machines. So the other option for backup is the regional backup. So this is the regional service for backup. Okay. So this is a regional service for backing up workloads, data servers. Okay, physical servers, virtual servers. You're going to have a primary region and a secondary region, a primary location and secondary location. So you're going to have exact copy of your primary region in a secondary region. So if region 1 goes offline, with the traffic manager, will be able to fail over to a secondary region, a secondary location. All these businesses you see, all these banks, all these organizations, they have this plan in place. So if there's a earthquake, flooding, tsunami in a major backup center, they have contingency plan to accommodate that. So they will just fail over to a secondary location. Okay. So every enterprise organization have this plan in place. It's not a new solution. So regional backup has always been in place, but just telling you that in Azure, you can actually do this in the cloud. You don't have to deal with the data centers. So we can back up your workloads, your data in a secondary location and replicate virtual machines from one region to another. On-premises servers, you can replicate them. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so let's do. Let's see. Let's do this lab together. 20 minutes. Oh, we can't do this together. Please do it. It's 24 minutes. We can't do this together. Posting it in the chat. Okay. So that is very interactive. Please make sure you go through this video. It will help you to set up your backup environment. You can talk this through in an interview. There's no reason why you can't talk this through in an interview. Backups. Okay. So recovery services vaults. You need a backup agent installed on the servers. Okay. Very important. Any question? Do we have any question? So we've done all this. So you can just go through the materials. Okay. You can go through the materials. We have done all this. Okay, if you want to back up on-premises files and folders, you need to follow these steps. Create recovery services vault, download agent, credential files. Okay, install and register the agent, configure your backup. We talked about the mass agent, we talked about the maps. So with the mass agents, there's not much you can back up. You can only back up files and folders, unlike the maps server, which can back up applications, databases, and every other thing. And there's also the interactive lab simulation for this one as well. Okay. So we have just 2 modules to go, backup and monitor. So we're going to look at monitoring. So all these resources we have created, machines, network, backups, security, posture management tools we have put in place. All this, we need to be able to monitor them. We need to be able to monitor their performance, their health status. We need to be able to monitor trends, the traffic going in and out of our storage account, right? So in Azure Monitor, we're going to look at how we monitor, implement monitoring and observation of our resources. We'll do that on Saturday. Yeah, I think Saturday. Let's do that on Saturday. So we'll meet tomorrow. We are done. That's the last module. Yeah, I think we have tried. Thank you for 135 or so registered for this training. Many people have dropped, by the way. Over 130 people registered. And here we are. How many? 7. Some people even registered late and they are here. So the race is not to the swift. The race is not to the ones that have